What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's happening to the overall market as far as we have important data coming out, not to mention important tweets from the man in the myth, the legend himself, Elon Musk. He's been saying some very important things about Tesla, which I want to share. But before I begin the devil's information, before I talk about what's happening to Tesla's share price, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo deposit of $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and each are going to be from the Magnificent 7, at least fractions of those. This all friends in just a couple of weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, for Tesla, you guys can see that this thing did dip more during the pre-market as we expected. I called out that Tesla is going to likely test at least 180, if not 178 in this demand zone before we see this thing attempt to rebound. And I just want to warn you all that there could be another dip coming to Tesla before we see this thing start to reverse a little bit and start pushing a bit higher, at least temporarily. But the real move that's going to come to Tesla is not really going to happen during the morning session. The real move is going to come during Jerome Powell's speech, and we'll see what he causes for the markets. So as a reminder, today is Wednesday, May 1st. Happy May, guys. We have another month that just started, and we're going to see some interesting data. 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI report coming out. This might cause some volatility, so watch for volatility 15 minutes after open. And then 30 minutes after open at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the next set of data. We have the ISM Manufacturing PMI, the JOLTS job openings, then the ISM Manufacturing new orders. So some of this data is very important for inflationary expectations and the labor market, which is important for the Fed's policies. So look for volatility for the first 30 minutes and first 15 minutes, and then we'll see what that causes. And then after that, I expect the market to be kind of quiet for a couple of hours. We might see a lot of choppy sideways price action for just a few hours. And then at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the notorious Jerome Powell. Not Jerome Powell, we have the interest rate hike decision coming out. So we'll see what the Fed does. And then at 2:30 p.m., we have the notorious Jerome Powell giving a speech. So remember this, guys. We have the interest rate hike decision coming out at 2, and then at 2:30 is when we have Jerome Powell starting his speech. This is going to be very important for the markets, and I can't wait to see what this causes. Once again, we're expecting the Fed to essentially do some very, very interesting stuff right here. They're going to most likely keep rates the same. That's what the probabilities are showing, and we know that they're most likely going to keep rates the same this cycle. But the question is, what will Powell say about inflation? The last couple of inflation reports were a little bit hot, and we'll have to see what happens with future projections for inflation as well. I'll talk more about that later. For news about the markets, as far as the market goes, the S&P 500 fell 1.57% on the day, while the Nasdaq fell about 2.04% yesterday. We actually were down about 5% in April as a bit, and the S&P 500 shed about 4.2% for the month, so quite a bit of downside. Amazon growth is also very interesting. The shares are up about 2% in the pre-market. They have better than expected revenue and earnings, especially as their operating income has soared. So it's pretty good news for them, and we'll see how they end up doing today. They're still going to be heavily impacted by Jerome Powell. Don't forget, guys, we have Powell speaking today. Very, very important stuff. What he says is going to have a big effect on us. That's it, at least for other pieces of data. I'm going to kind of end the news part from here. For earnings, just two more quick announcements before I talk about Musk. We had Pfizer, which beat on revenue estimates, and they had very, very nice profit outlook. So Pfizer did relatively well. They beat on EPS at 82 cents adjusted, and then revenue was 14.88 billion, above expectations, and they had good guidance, which is why the share price is up quite a bit. CVS, on the other hand, had mixed earnings overall. They ended up seeing a big earnings miss, and they cut profits on their higher outlook, so it's not really looking as great for them. Right here, you guys can see they ended up missing on EPS. They also missed on revenue, so bad earnings from them. Net income also kind of dipped a little bit, and their overall guidance is not the strongest, so not so good earnings for CVS. That's why the share price is down about 12%. Now, for Elon Musk, I just want to say there's a lot of headlines about him. There's been a lot of talk about how Elon Musk is prioritizing in China over India, excuse me, and this is leading to some criticism because Musk was supposed to meet up with Prime Minister Modi of India, and he chose not to because he had other obligations for Tesla. And then what happened was we had earnings for Tesla, and then a week later he ended up going to China unexpectedly, which caused the share price to go up because of some FSD updates and because they were able to get through some barriers. Now, in my personal opinion, You could argue that Musk has been trying to prioritize China because right now, Tesla has a gigafactory in China. They have cars being built in China. They have a team in China. They don't really have that in India yet. So that's the reason why I would say that, technically that is true that he has been prioritizing that. However, it's not the end of the world because Musk also said that he's going to be meeting up with Prime Minister Modi later on during this year. So I'm sure there will be a lot of progress to be made. We're waiting for big changes to be made in tariffs and different regulations in India for Tesla to be in a better position. That's something worth noting. Now, right here, there's some more tweets that just came out from Elon Musk. Musk says that Tesla still plans to grow the supercharger network just at a slower pace for new locations and more focus on 100% uptime and excuse me and expansion of existing locations. That's actually some very, very important news right here. So Musk is saying that they're still planning on growing the supercharger network despite the fact that they fired the large majority of the employees from that department. And then there's been a lot of talk about how, there's right now Tesla is trying to grow their EVs and then their different sustainable transportation services areas. That's going to be very important. We're going to be looking to see if anything else is built, at least for this. I think Elon Musk was also talking about this. But Tesla's trying to improve their infrastructure. They're trying to do a lot of improvements over there. And on top of this, they're trying to improve their maps. There's been a lot of talk about this, at least in particular areas. So there's been a lot of talk about the current, improvements that are under construction. And right now, the active construction crews have no point of contract uh, at Tesla any longer. So will it open? Maybe. So Musk is saying that it's definitely going to open, and that the sites under construction will be completed, and will have additional superchargers anywhere, wherever there are gaps. So Musk is talking about how they're going to be building more superchargers. They're going to continue to expand this area. They're going to improve their infrastructure, and they're going to continue to grow, at least from that end. So you guys can see it right over here. We're going to be looking to see new superchargers to be built. They're going to fill up these empty spaces in particular areas. There's been a lot of tweets about that, and Musk is very confident about that. And it's making a lot of headlines as Elon Musk is saying that Tesla will slowly grow its supercharger network after laying off the team. That's good news for them, and I can't wait to see what else this holds for the company. Moving forward, when it comes to the share price of Tesla, let's now break this down. We're trying to rebound a little bit. Could be looking for a little pop right here towards our 20 EMA at 182. Then there could be a little rejection. We could actually dip a little bit lower one more time, kind of shuffle in this 180 to 182 area for some time. Look for a little pop and then a drop. And later on during the day, I think we're going to start pushing higher, especially after this data gets released, especially the jobs openings. So we might see a retest of resistance, a dip one more time back down to this 180 area, then a push back up slowly, try to fill this gap as Tesla tries to build some momentum. That's what I see likely happening, at least in the very, very beginning. And then once Tesla's in the low 180s, so it's going to rebound a little bit ultimately. I think we're going to shuffle a little bit before we see Jerome Powell's speech, and then Jerome Powell's either going to cause this thing to launch up higher or give us the big rug pull. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. For Nvidia, I'm seeing something very similar. Nvidia is trying to rebound a bit. We could actually try to push a little higher on Nvidia. We could be retesting 856 before we get a rejection and we continue a bit lower. So it might get a little morning pop and then drop back down to about this 844 area, remain in this range, just showing some weakness down here before we see this thing as slowly begin to uptrend back up into the 850s and shuffle for some time until we get to Jerome Powell's speech. He's going to likely either launch this much higher, cause a big rug pull. That's going to cause the bigger moves, so be prepared for that just to be safe. For SPY right now, we're currently at 500 points, or basically 501. However, I just want to warn you all that there could be one more dip coming to SPY. We did technically touch the 499s. I think that 499 to 497 area could be touched one more time before we see this thing attempt to reverse. And if we do reverse, we're going to be looking for a move back up to about 503 soon. So look for a little dip on SPY, then a bounce, and then we're going to slowly start pushing back to the low 500s before we start to shuffle even more. And then we'll see what Jerome Powell causes. He might cause a big move to the upside or the downside. We'll just have to wait and see. The QQQ is essentially the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually kind of pops a little bit towards 424, maybe a little bit under 420, the 424 area, so 423.5. We reject a little bit. We grab liquidity back down here in this range, and then we might push back up, trade within this range again, just under the 425 area, trade sideways, and then Jerome Powell's going to either launch this to 430 or cause a big rug pull into the much lower areas. So I'll be watching that very carefully. Apple's kind of shuffling right now. It's kind of stuck within this range. We might be looking for a test of about a 170 flat. We could even come up to about just under 171, dip back down to 169, just continue to trade sideways in the 170 area. And we're going to be looking to see if there's a big bounce back up towards 173 or a big rug pull. I'll be waiting for that as well. One thing worth noting is that Amazon is currently a little bit up right now during the pre-market sessions of about 3%. Going to be looking for a push towards this liquidity zone at 183, so it's building some strength. Meta, on the other hand, is looking kind of flat. We have to see if we can try to reclaim about 430. That's going to be a key level. That's going to be very close to our 20 EMA. So breaking through that, we also have 435 coming next. If we do pop through that, so watch for that very carefully. All right, guys. So that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day, and let it to be known that the market has some interesting volatility coming. And we'll see what happens to Tesla. Tesla has once again trying to rebound a little bit. It could actually get one more little dip to grab liquidity before it tries to rebound again. But just know that the moves don't matter as much during the first few hours. What's going to matter is Jerome Powell's speech. So look for a test of resistance, a dip back down later on before it tries to come back up, and we might just see a lot of sideways price action. And then we'll see what Jerome Powell causes. All right, so thank you for listening. Hopefully, this update about Tesla is going to be very useful, and we'll see how things go moving forward. Thanks again, guys, and peace out.